Howdy, it is Laoshi Lawrence McElroy from Water Tiger School, Tai Chi Chuan. Still doing pre-recorded, so might notice a little bit different angle than usual. That's probably the first clue that this is going to be a little bit different kind of session. Two is I'm wearing, a white tank, and if you've been following us since all of this started, if it's a white tank or a white t-shirt, just plain, that this is going to be physical training, stretching, that sort of thing. And today, something a little bit even more different. Sort of an introduction, sort of a how-to-ish kind of video on myofascial release. So this isn't probably really a follow me because it does require some equipment. And also warning, 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 danger, Will Robinson. This is one of those things that you really should, talk to your doctor, your physical therapist, your physical trainer, and get some help with how to start this for yourself and what might be what you need to do to address your issues. What I'm doing today is introducing the concept of myofascial release for Water Tiger School through what I do for what I need. And we're going to do sort of couple of larger muscle groups in myofascial release, and then something very, very specific. And the way that I approach myofascial release isn't exactly the way everybody else does. So anyway, so there you go. There's that. You've had your warning. You might want to read it again below. So anyway, some of the things that I will be using in this video are behind me. Now, one of the things is just there for an example, but we have some foam rollers, large one in the middle, small one over here are the two that I use. The other one we'll talk about in a moment. And then some specific sort of what's known as trigger point therapy balls or trigger point therapy stuff. I also have a yoga blanket that I'm going to use because the spiky ball and my exercise mat don't necessarily match one another very well. So anyway, so there you go. As always, I normally chat a little bit more about, the series. It's been around since March of 2020. We launched the YouTube channel specifically because of the pandemic, and we wanted to keep in contact with especially our public class students because we moved into remote in the studio almost immediately by the 1st of April of 2020. And we're continuing, to connect with people through YouTube, but on a little bit more limited basis than we used to during the meat of the pandemic. And when the pandemic led to, the loss of some of our public class clients. So anyway, afternoon tea, water, and myofascial release. So what is myofascial release? One, sort of in the nutshell, as I've always understood, it's sort of deep tissue release. But it's a little bit more complicated than that. I'm not going to give you like a specific, sort of physiology lesson about, the myofascial, what exactly that means, or the fascia and the fact that the fascia is, I guess you would call it sort of a mesh that holds everything together. And the fascia can actually be as sensitive, or actually it is, as sensitive as the skin. And some of the pain that we feel from muscle use and that sort of thing may not actually be the muscles themselves, but the fascia keeping them in place. And so we need to go a little bit deeper than just stretching the muscle itself in our normal way to sort of open things up. Now, that in mind, I started with myofascial release with a foam roller, and, in say 45, 50 minutes, I'd gone from toe to head, and that included the arms. And that's not really the way this should work, and I was actually led through that. But you really want to have some patience. You want to take time as you're doing this and not rush it, because it's really that it's that single point and hanging out there. And you may hear me moan and scream during this video. I apologize ahead of time, but we'll see. So why do I have 3 foam rollers? And I'm not going to use this one because I want to point out, let's look at the good one first. Notice it has its shape. This was the first foam roller my wife and I bought. I don't know if you can see, but it's broader on the ends than it is in the middle. It is too soft. So it worked pretty well to start with, but it started to, and it's a little bit harder toward the ends. But it didn't really hold its position. However, for instance, I held up this spiky ball. There's another spiky ball in this set that's squishy. So perhaps if you really have some tension and some pain, a softer foam roller isn't a bad idea. As a matter of fact, they make spiky foam rollers. I ain't there yet. And I use the foam roller more for the larger body parts, though I also sort of bring in some of the smaller pieces as well. And by the way, I said that these are trigger point therapy balls or trigger point therapy equipment. A lot of people use like a tennis ball, or a lacrosse ball, because a lacrosse ball is sort of not as soft as a tennis ball and not as hard as a trigger point therapy ball. And I've also known people, I would say specifically the people that I know who have used golf balls have used them specifically on their feet and like their for plantar fasciitis and in their plantar tendon and that sort of thing. So you have some choices, and some people will put more than one ball in a sock, like a couple of lacrosse balls in a sock, and that's sort of what this particular little gem represents. Sometimes, one, if you want to take something with you when you're packing, the big one doesn't work, so you have the little one, but the little one also helps get better angles. So the first muscle group that I'm going to attack, probably the wrong word, are my quads. So I'm specifying the quads because I'm actually feeling them today. Had a couple of things this week, both on Tuesday. Tuesday, my workout was plyometrics, jump training, and high impact, and a lot of squats and a lot of lunges and that sort of thing. So my quads are feeling it because of that, and my quads are feeling it because that night, I'm going to make a Tai Chi reference here. Tai Chi wise, in Water Tiger School's off schedule class, we did what we refer to as a stop and start on the 24 posture form, the Young Style 24 posture form, or medium frame, Young stylists. And what a stop and start is, well, there's a video in our catalog back when we were doing stuff live, so it's in the Facebook Live series. Stop and start is where you get to sort of the end of the posture and you hold it for a certain amount of time. For us, it's about 3 of my breaths, though a lot of times it's longer than 3 breaths because I'm talking about the details of the posture. And we were, I would say, probably 30 minutes to get from opening to the second golden rooster stands on one leg. And we had stopped because it was the end of class. So 30 minutes holding those postures, and medium deep frame stance, not a deep stance, not a high stance. So my quads are feeling it from that anyway. Long story short. So I can hit both quads at the same time with this, and what you want to do, it's body weight, and I just want to position that where, there we go. I notice I'm sort of turning. I want to find, there's the outside of that one. Oh, there we go. Right above the knee and outside of my right leg now. So most intense is I'm up here, right, and my feet are off the ground. If I want to take some pressure off, I take a little bit more weight on my upper body, put the balls of the feet down. But for the most intense, oh, hi. I'm sort of moving to find, okay, there we go. And now I'm in both spots. And I'm just going to hang out here and breathe. And I'm staying on the point, but I'm changing the intensity. You hear it in my voice. By again, sort of settling a little bit more, rolling a little bit more into that point. And just like normal stretching, as your breath relaxes, you open things up more. I know this isn't very exciting, so we're going to move on. Right? I feel things opening up. It actually feels pretty good. It feels better now in those points than it did before. And I can change that up a little bit and intensify that a little bit by getting to something. It's a little bit harder to get the angle right in the long one, though I could. But now all my weight, now you might not be able to see, but the ball of my left foot is down, the right foot is up off the ground. I'm working on my right leg. But now that I only have one leg on the same spot, oh my, it's a little bit more intense. Notice I'm up a little bit higher on my arms. And I'm not, oh, down there. I don't spend very much time here because, again, just watching somebody do this can be kind of boring. But, you know, when I first learned to do this, that was, you know, when I was first introduced to it, it was sort of like this. And yeah, you'd find one point, sort of hang out there for a little bit, but really move on. Oh, relatively quickly. Sorry, I found my spot again. And now I don't want to be lopsided, so I apologize, but I'm going to need to find that one again. So now you can see clearly that my right ball of my right foot is down. Because were I to take that right foot off the ground, that's just too much pressure. Looking for, oh, there it is. Same spot I was working on the other side. It's toward the outside of the lower quad, just above the knee. And you know everything's connected. Butterfly flaps its wings on Long Island. And it rains in Siberia. So that's one muscle group, right? The quads. You can work calves, ankles, sometimes in the past, and again, notice my personal pronouns. My knee, sometimes when I feel I have an issue with one of my knees, I find that working with myofascial release above and below the knee can open up whatever's going on with the knee. So it's not the knee itself, it's the muscles and the tissue leading to the knee for me. So the next large muscle group that I want to do is more or less related to sciatica in a way. But I'm going to start in the glute with the big roller. And maybe, I don't normally use the trigger point balls, but you know, you can start depending upon where that tension lies. And I don't feel my sciatica today, right? But that might be somewhere around there. But I really feel at the top of the glute in my lower back right there. So I'm actually, use the A word again, attacking the glute to loosen up things in my lower back. Because again, everything's connected. Oh, hello. There was a moan. Haven't screamed yet. That'll probably come when we do the last part of this. And the way that particular point feels, I might scream when I sit on a ball as opposed to the foam roller, because the foam roller sort of spreads out where the impact is. And again, I put that foot down and set up a little bit more. And now I feel it less. So if there's a lot of pain, a lot of tension, you're going to take pressure off. If you have to get deeper, and then look at this mama. Oh, hello. Now I'm adding the weight of my left leg to my right leg, and it's putting me deeper. And if I take the other hand off, that's even more. And I get to look at my right cheek as I work a little bit on my left, because again, I don't want to be, out of balance. So you just hang out, right? Find the most intense spot, and you may have to not move at all, right? When you first start, if things are like really, really locked up. Very painful, very sensitive, not even bothering to move anything. But I didn't do this as much on the other side. I didn't really do it at all on the other side. And not so much with the quad. See, activating the glute. That too. Not quite at the, there we go, I think. Oh, there we are. The same point. I don't know if you can hear my breath or not. A little bit more dramatic. Maybe hear my system's reaction to what it was I had for lunch today. I apologize for that. It's really not what I had for lunch. It's more the supplements I took after, and mixing it with tea probably wasn't a good idea. So there, and again, you might choose to do both cheeks at the same time, right? Sort of spreading out the contact point, or going to the smaller roller to really isolate that one side a little bit more. So I don't normally, as I said, use a ball for the glute. I have two sizes here, plus the double. I go with the smaller one. That's the one I usually use on my shoulder, and that might be too direct. Oh. So notice a couple of things. One, probably the expression of my face. And two, all four limbs are down. They weren't on the foam roller. This is very intense. And now I'm starting to settle a little bit more down through my upper body. And I'm releasing my lower body a little bit. But I might be, I was off the spot a little bit. I'm back on it now. So again, I'm pressing down a little bit more. So much more intense. The smaller, the more specific you are with what you are hitting. I mean, before, big foam roller, a lot of real estate. So I could pretty much go off of almost all of my limbs, and I was fine. And here, I think I would probably not only scream, but I would end up not helping myself, but injuring myself if I lifted like my feet up off the ground. So if all my weight were on this one contact point, I'd be in trouble. And notice I'm not, let's see, with one leg. Yeah, it's too much. Even just sort of folding and unfolding one leg, I feel that's, yeah. But I still feel things opening up and loosening if I maintain that support. Let's just give the larger ball a shot because, like I said, I don't normally use, yeah. See here, bigger ball, same point. I'm just on the edge, but kind of spreading out that contact. I can start to play a little bit more with movement. I'm not going to do the spiky there. So quads a little bit. I only focused right specifically in this area. It's where I was not necessarily feeling it the most, but I thought that's what would give me the most benefit. And like I said, everything's connected. I felt working those 2 points at the base of the quads, I don't feel the tops of my quads as much as I did 20 minutes ago. So I've been having this issue with my shoulder and my biceps, and it has yet really to be diagnosed. But I'm doing more or less sort of a rehab upper body workout for now, and it's getting better. But the other thing that has helped has been myofascial release. And unfortunately, I haven't maintained that work as much as I should. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is start with the shoulder, be face down, facing you. And I have found, since this issue began, sort of at the head of the summer, that even the smaller of the 2 foam rollers, I can't specifically get to where I need to be. Just there's too much real estate, too much roller for what I need. So starting on my shoulder, and there it is, finding that point. And right now, I don't know if you can tell or not, but that arm is back. It's my left shoulder. Oh, hello. Let me turn a little bit. So just hanging out right there. Finding that point again, sort of rolled off of it. And just letting my left hand, is up in the air right now. And my palm is up. I'm going to rotate, I'm going to rotate the palm down. And then, okay, hello meant that, yeah, I felt that. Right? Things are a little bit more relaxed. Palm back. A little bit more activated. Palm down. Oh. And I know it doesn't sound like it, but this is helping. Now, if it really, really hurt, I would be like this. Now my left hand is down, and probably down, palm up. Yeah, I can feel the release. I mean, there's not a lot of activation completely down with the palm down, but it's even less with the palm up. Right? But if I want to sort of intensify things. And then that's really not the ball, right? Small, give me an idea. I guess I don't have, do I have it? No, I don't have a tennis ball down here, right? But you can sort of see, based on my hand, how small that ball is. I've never used the big one on that spot. And I've tried the soft, spiky one here, but it's just, for me, it's too soft. I'm going to bring the yoga blanket over here so I get a little bit of softness between the spikes. And the mat. Oh, mommy. Oh. I'll do my best. I'll do my best not to swear or cry. And now, you know, don't worry, we're not going to take time and do the other shoulder because the other shoulder is fine, right? And here, I don't feel the activation of my issue when my arm is out. I feel it when it's down. And there's that point again. I'm just experimenting. Right, as I prop myself up, even though I'm propped on this arm, down here there's less intensity. As I raise up, and I'm going to twist the arm and the palm is down. See, down, not up, but down. Oh. Again, I'm hanging out here for a while. Right, by this time, in my initial, like, I don't know, not quite decade ago, I think when I was first introduced to myofascial release, as sort of a pre and maybe post workout warm up and cool down. I would have been through, you know, 3/4 of my body by now. But it's, you know, the true therapy is a lot different than that. So I'm going to switch now from the shoulder to my biceps because that's the other place I feel my issue. And by the way, you know what you want to do. So I have my quads, right, and my glutes into my lower back. You test things out. You know, it's like, what's my range of motion now? And I think a squat would probably sort of point out how both are feeling. And I think the kind of squat I want to do is sort of a frog squat kind of thing. So my toes are out, my knees are out. I'm just going to check and see how things feel. And that feels pretty good. I don't feel that in my quads, my lower back. You know, another way to sort of test the lower back is just where am I in my forward fold? And do I feel this in my lower back? And I don't. So as far as the shoulder goes, I mean, I have a pretty good range of motion in circles. As a matter of fact, you know, it's sort of hard to determine that Lao Shi actually has a shoulder issue. Because if I get down on my knees so you can see what my range of motion is, I can do pinky back and my arms right straight up and go behind, swoop forward. And that doesn't really bother me. To test the shoulder, if I do this, Now I don't feel the shoulder, but I do feel the biceps a little bit. And as I go back a little bit more, it's more in the biceps, but I don't feel it in the shoulder right now. So play a little bit with the biceps. So that's how you figure out, that this is actually working. Is wherever your issue was. Oh, I'm looking for it. I have to use the bigger ball here. I think I need the bigger ball just because where the tightness is, it tends to, oh, there we go. The tightness tends to slip off the top of, get a little bit closer to the camera. There. Now, I'm better on my mark. You'd think after being an actor for a good third of my current life, beyond, actually. More like 3/5 of my current life span, I'd know how to hit my mark. So anyway, the surface of the smaller ball was causing where the tension, where the tightness is, to just sort of pop from one side to the other. And now this, I can feel. Again, I can play with, intensity. Coming up a little bit. Going down a little bit. Turning the palm up. Hello. Turn the palm down. Now here, right? Before in the shoulder, palm down was less intense, palm up was more intense. Or was it vice versa? It was, I don't know. Anyway. I'm having some challenges even with the larger ball, keeping the tight spot where I want it. So again, everybody's different. Everybody has their own issues, their own challenges. I don't like problems. I don't like using the word problem. The issue is pretty close to that. And maybe you're totally pain and tightness free, freak. But if you do have certain muscle aches and pains, I urge you to talk to your personal physician, your physical therapist, if you have one, physical trainer, if you have one or access to one, and explore if myofascial release, I didn't scream, hey, I moaned a little bit, but I didn't scream, is for you. That little movement, by the way, I was just seeing if there was anything else in the biceps on that side. But it just seems to be, that one point. I'm going to do some wrist rotations as movement here. And so, my test before was this. Feels pretty good. Different. It's not in the biceps anymore. It's in sort of it's right at the shoulder triceps joint. So as things open up, then you can sort of trace other issues. But I'm not going to go to that triceps thing. I'm just going to test it with the thing that caused, if you will, my issue. I don't know if that's brave or foolish. What we used to call in high school track, our track coach used to think if we lost a match, doing tripod push-ups was a way to make us run faster the next time. But these are now called, in my world, diamond push-ups are heart to heart. So fingertip and index fingers and thumb tips together if you can. Otherwise spread out. As I've been doing these since my issue involved, I usually had a little bit of distance and didn't go as deep. So I'm just going to do a couple of here and see how that feels. And it doesn't feel taxed at all. That doesn't mean that my issue is resolved. It just means that right now, hey, it feels pretty good. So again, I only did 3 different things, quads, because I was feeling sort of that issue from some things that I've been doing this week, focusing primarily on, for what worked with me, lower quad, not the meat of the quad, and hanging out there on both sides. The glutes to deal with some lower back issues. You'd think somebody who did a lot of Tai Chi wouldn't have lower back issues, but one of the reasons I came to Tai Chi or stayed with Tai Chi was when I was first introduced to it, I did have back issues. And the kind of back issues that even 30 years of Tai Chi won't exactly entirely eliminate. Injuries never go away. We just get better. And then my shoulder biceps thing, which now, I also recognize plays a little bit into my triceps. If I'll probably, maybe after we make sure that this all went down well, I might spend a little bit more time on the mat here and work with that connector between the shoulder and the triceps on my left arm. We shall see. So I hope you found that interesting. Again, some people, may know everything and maybe even more than I do about myofascial release. More power to you. And think that this was foolish, just because you already know everything. If you don't have any idea, if you saw the title and went, what the hell is myofascial release? I don't understand that. Maybe you know something new now. And again, this wasn't a video to, grab a tennis ball and do what he's doing. This was something to sort of watch and see what's possible and a possible approach to myofascial release that may, after you talk to people in the know, might work for you too. As always, we're going to post a link to this on Water Tiger School's Facebook page, and there the comments are open to the public. YouTube channel, because YouTube algorithms don't do a good job screening spam, especially spam that involves getting a date for yourself. We always preview all the comments before we put them through. Not that we get a lot of comments. And as long as you're not flaming us, positive, negative, we'll let them go. Even if you want to slam my approach to myofascial release, as long as it's done respectfully, slam away. And right now we found a rhythm, and we hope to stay with this. Now, we might spread it out eventually, but right now we're at about every 2 weeks. We might move to every 3 weeks, depending on how this current pandemic of the unvaccinated continues to go. We're still a high-risk location in Suffolk County. We're still about double even though our infection rate is low. So it's not always the infection rate. It's the number of people per 100,000 that puts it at high risk. And right now, that math is double of what it should be just to get us to substantial risk. And we're still universally masking and 100% universal physical distance in the studio, and we will be until we get to moderate risk. based on CDC recommendations. So there you go. My little soapbox moment, and also just sort of informing you where things are with Water Tiger School in Suffolk County on the Isle of Length in the state of New York in the United States of America. So thanks for your time and attention. Appreciate it. Hang in there. We'll see the end of this particular new tunnel at some point, we hope. And I got to move a little bit closer to the camera just so I can manifest the log off. Thanks.